Hey everybody, I'm Joey and today I'm here in Denver where we'll learn how to make some incredible strip steak tacos. So follow me and let's meet America. Today I'll introduce you to Chef Kevin Morrison, who's been on the Denver food scene for decades. His tacos have been ranked not only some of the best in Denver, but some of the best in the entire country. This concept started as a food truck and has since grown to include 3 locations. Now, let's turn up the heat and cook some meat here at Tacos, Tequila, and Whiskey.
My favorite taco is a pollo agave fried chicken with chimichurri sauce. So good.
Their food is great. They have good happy hour specials. We love their paloma. It's just awesome. You just gotta come and try it.
Kevin, what are we working with today, man?
So today we have our New York strip. It was Omaha ambassador steak, sirloin steak, but it landed with the final name of New York strip because that's where the chefs first started cooking with this piece of meat.
Now let me pick this up. This is a big old cut of beef for our audience at home. How much does this weigh in at?
That's about a 7-pounder.
Wow, all right. Well, I'll let you take it from here.
All
What's
right.
the next step? I guess getting it out of the bag.
Getting it out of the bag. And this one is wet aged. So there's 2 different aging processes. You have a wet aged and a dry aged. So the wet aged, they put it in cryovac, and you see the blood in here, and that will help age the meat. And by aging it, it helps intensify the flavor. Dry it off a little bit. We want to get some of that blood off, the natural blood, the natural juices.
Does that just make it a little easier to work with?
Makes it a lot easier to handle because then it dries it off a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the chain off. Now, a lot of steakhouses will keep this on. There's a lot of flavor in here.
Okay.
But our portions are a lot smaller for a taco, 2 to 3 ounces. So we want to remove this chain, and we'll use this for other ingredients around the kitchen.
And is there a guideline that people at home can use for removing the chain? Like, where do you know where to make that mark? I think you said a couple inches, but is there
the best way, if you can see that right at the end, is you can see where the majority of the meat ends.
Yep.
And the fat begins. And what you want to do is just carefully run your knife down there and then just make a straight cut, and it'll make a nice rectangle piece of meat. It doesn't matter if you go in too deep or not deep enough. If you don't go deep enough, then we can come back and trim it. But what we're looking for is just meat from one end to the other. But there is a tendon in the end of the strip loin back here, and we'll just trim that off as well. So this is a good example. So the vein, you'll see the vein right here. So what we'll do is we'll cut probably about an inch and a half off and remove that vein, and then we'll cut the meat around there. We'll either grind it, we'll put it in beans, we use it for staff meal, but you'll see the vein, you can see the vein running right through there.
Now, when it's referred to as a vein, what they're really referring to is a thick vein of fat, right?
Exactly.
And it's inedible. It's just chewy. It doesn't make for a good, clean bite through your meat.
So you can see it right there. That's what we want to eliminate.
Got it. And so by the time you've cut that off, right here, we're back to a much cleaner bite when it comes to the steak. Right.
And this steak has beautiful marbling. If you see all that, the red part is all the meat. The white part is fat. It's called marbling, and that's where the flavor comes in. And this is a beautiful piece. Look at all this beautiful marbling right here. So what happens when it hits heat, it starts to melt, and all that juice stays in the beef. That's why you don't want to overcook the beef. So on this strip, you can see there's a lot of fat here, and also if you're doing it at home, if you do get a full loin in, you can go around the loin and feel the hard part, and we'll just gently carve away those really hard pieces of fat. And once again, save that because there's so much flavor. You can render it down. My dad used to make Yorkshire pudding when we were growing up. It was a Scottish dish. So what we do now is with the end piece, we want a really nice squared off cut. So when we're moving down the loin, they're all even. So I'll trim this a little bit just to square it up, clean it up. Once again, keep this. And then we'll just go down and we'll cut small steaks out of the loin.
Just so everyone can see at home, nice petite steak, and we're gonna trim this down further even for the tacos, right?
Right, we'll make about 2.5 ounces out of those. So what we do is we have the loin, we squared it up, we'll cut a portion of nice steak, and then out of this, we'll kind of square it off, like make it more rectangle with our hands.
I see.
See there's some fat on there, and these are gonna be our little steaks for our tacos. All right, that's it.
Join us for the Meet America podcast presented by Code 3 Spices as we meet experts and discuss incredible stories, business and life advice, meat, of course, and much, much more. Like a bunch of friends gathered around the grill, the meat brings us together, but the conversation will head in exciting directions. Are you ready for an adventure? Follow along every week as we Meet America. So we got the steaks cut into bite-sized pieces.
Yep.
What's the next process?
Next process is marinating. What we like to do, what we do here at the restaurant, we marinate them overnight. So we're using a red mole today. There's 7 different moles, but we found this one hits our flavor profile. Our guests love it. The main ingredient here is guajillo chilies and chili puya, dried chilies. We fry homemade tortillas. There's chocolate. There's different nuts in here, and cooked down for hours.
It sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
Now it is a lengthy cooking process,
Very lengthy,
right?
very lengthy.
And so this is a little bit of the secret sauce that we're not giving away in this video. There's plenty of good mole recipes out there on the internet if you want to try your hand at this at home.
Yeah.
But you're suggesting, what, the red mole, right?
We like the red mole. I love the red mole. But if you don't want to make mole, which I understand, just go to a Mexican market and you'll be able to find really good moles. We're just gonna spoon some on here. And what we're looking for now is we don't want to put a lot of marinade on here. We just want the mole to basically kiss every piece of steak, cover it, and we let this sit overnight. And the flavors are gonna all just seep into the fat, to the beef, and it's just gonna rest. Now keep in mind, we're not seasoning this right now with salt or pepper. You don't want to salt your marinades because what that'll do, the salt will pull out the moisture from the steak and it'll make it dry. So we just let this sit overnight and then you're good to go the next day.
And simply put, dry steak is no bueno,
Dry
right?
steak is no bueno.
You've spent all that money on a nice,
Right.
beautiful cut
Yeah.
of steak. You took your time to trim it. Last thing you want is
Don't
to have it be
abuse it.
dry.
Don't abuse it. So we have some we made yesterday. We had some already marinating. So what we're gonna do is we're just using a little bit of olive oil. You can use veg oil, canola oil, whatever you like.
Now, is that all for one taco, or is that 2 tacos?
This will be 2 tacos.
Okay, all right.
This will be 2 tacos. Be generous with the seasoning. So we're just using kosher salt, cracked black pepper, about 80-20. 80 kosher salt, 20 pepper. And you want to season all sides. You're going to eat all sides, so why not season all sides, right?
Absolutely. And so you put the oil on there to help prevent it from sticking, is that right?
Correct. And it'll help me identify where the hot parts of the grill are. Now it's all going to flame up because of the oil, but as it burns off, I'll get to see what area is hotter than others. Whenever I grill, if it's fairly thin like this, you want to put it on the hottest part of the grill. If you're cooking something really thick, maybe a little bit cooler part of the grill because you don't want it to burn. You want the meat and the fat to caramelize, but there's a fine line between caramelization and burning.
And burn gives it that
burn is bitter.
Bitter.
Yeah. So we cook this for about 2.5 minutes per side, and then we'll flip it over another 2.5, and we're gonna let it rest in our mole butter.
Mole butter.
So what that
Holy
is,
mole.
it's equal parts butter and equal parts mole, and we'll let the meat rest in there. And the reason for that is, since this is a protein, it's like when you work out at home. When you work out, your muscles get sore, they get hard. You want them to relax, because if you cut into that right then, all the juice will bleed out. It'll be tough. You'll ruin the meat.
It's a great analogy.
So let it rest.
Yeah, now if you're fat kid at heart like I am, letting it rest is absolutely
Yeah.
the hardest part of this process, because it comes right off the grill, it smells delicious, it's hot.
Right. It's like bread out
and
of the
I'm
oven,
ready
man.
to eat.
It's like bread out of the oven. I used to bake, and when you get that bread out of the oven, it's still crackly. You smell that, and you want to dive into it, but you got to let it rest. So now it's grilled 2.5 on each side. We're gonna take it off the heat and let it rest right in this mole butter.
That's an unfair advantage when it comes to cooking tacos, I have to imagine.
That's it right there. That if you do, buy the mole, let your butcher cut the steaks, buy tortillas, treat yourself to this mole butter and let it rest in there for 5 minutes before you slice it.
Now, while this is resting, I think it's worth noting, I saw you guys making fresh tortillas right here in the house, right?
We do. We make fresh tortillas. We also use a local tortilla company. Friend of mine, love the guy, great tortillas. But for some dishes, it just requires that extra level of tortilla, so we like to make ours in-house. So now they rest for 5 minutes in that delicious mole butter.
The whole mole butter.
Whole mole butter. So now we're gonna slice it. We like thin slices because then it covers the tortilla a little bit more and it makes it more palatable for the guests. And the end pieces here is gonna be just a little rough and then just slice right through. And so if you notice on this end, it's gonna be a little bit more cooked in the middle, but that pink right there, that's what we're going for, that beautiful medium rare.
Now earlier you said you use a mixture of EVOO and
extra virgin olive oil and canola.
And so why is that?
You know, for one, it's the price point, but two, we like the flavor of the extra virgin oil, even though it's Mexican cooking. My background is Italian. I like that compliment that the oil gives all of our dishes. One of my chef mentors in Chicago that I worked with, you know, he said 2 or 3 ingredients on a dish, and that's it. And I just love that mentality. So these are the homemade tortillas. We have our little fresh guacamole down there. The guac we make several times a night. We like to make a lot of things in small batches. It's just fresher. It just gives us that quality that we're looking for. So we have our house-made tortilla, a little smashed avocado, and the main thing is you don't want to put a lot of ingredients on there. You want each ingredient to stand on its own. The fewer the better. So we have our nice tortilla, smashed avocado or guacamole, and then we'll just gently layer our New York strip. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of this mole butter, drizzle a little on the steak and then a little around for garnish. And then we top a real simple salad. We take freshly grated radish, a little bit of cilantro, and a little salt and pepper. Just mix that, just very light, very fresh, and that'll be right on the top. And that is our mole New York strip taco. It's all yours.
I'm gonna dig in here.
You ate it just like a professional. You turn your head, you don't turn the taco, you turn your head, you respect the taco and work around it. That's how you do it.
I'm a little bit messy, but usually when it's messy, it's good.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good sign. The first thing you get is the freshness of that tortilla. I mean, that just hits your palate the moment you bite in. The next, you're getting that creaminess of that avocado guac.
Yep.
Complemented with the richness.
Building layers up to the piece de resistance.
It's a really fresh little salad you have on top of that. And that was absolutely phenomenal.
Works. I'm gonna make one for myself.
Please do.
All right.
All right, what are we moving on to next?
Different direction, still meat.
Okay.
We're gonna feature the pig.
I can't wait.
We're doing our carnitas.
Let's see it.
What we do is we take boneless pork butt, we sear it off on the plancha, and then we cook it with some manteca, which is Mexican olive oil or fat, some crushed tomatoes, onions, serrano chilies, habaneros, braise it for about 5 hours, and then shred it. And this is the beautiful piece of meat that you have here. So this is our carnitas meat. So then what we do is we crisp it up real short on our plancha. Our plancha is very hot. The reason I like doing this, I like the caramelization it gives the meat, and it also changes the texture a little bit. You're gonna have the nice shredded, rich pork in there, but you're gonna have some crispy pieces too. It just adds great texture to it.
Texture carnival, it sounds like.
That's it, that's it, that's it. So what we're gonna do is we just set this on the plancha for a little bit. You can see that caramelization, gets nice little crispy. Once again, few ingredients. This is our avocado crema. A little sour cream, a little avocado.
And you're making this all in-house every day?
We make this all in-house. And these are pickled red onions with a little serrano chili over the top.
Oh, that's heaven right there.
That's it. This dish has been on the menu since our food truck days 10 years ago. Still around, still one of our best sellers.
Crowd favorite. Let's dig in.
3 ingredients, that's it.
Oh, that tortilla is nice and crisp. I mean, look at that. It holds that meat just like a little, it's like a little boat.
Right.
A little meat boat, right? Let's go, let's dive in. The first thing you really hit with is the crispiness of that tortilla.
Yeah, it's nice.
It gives it a nice little crunch. You feel this kind of the sweetness of that crema.
Yep.
I'm getting a little bit of that spice on the top
Get
lip.
a little heat. You get a little heat there. It kind of comes on later.
Combined with a little bit of bite from those red onions.
Right.
And I'm definitely tasting that texture profile in the pork. It's super soft, full of moisture, really great taco.
Love this
I'm going
dish.
back for more. So for everyone watching at home, hope you learned some great tricks from a pro about making amazing tacos for yourself right at home. And by the way, if you're ever in Denver, come by and check them out. You'll be glad you did. You really knocked those tacos out of the park, my man.
Appreciate it.
Killer job. Now the name of this place is Tacos, Tequila, and Whiskey. So I think it's time to get on to the other two components of this restaurant.
Let's do it.
I can't wait. If you want to make Holy Mole strip steak tacos right at home, just follow these steps. Begin with a wet-aged whole beef strip loin. Remove it from the packaging and pat it dry for easier handling. Remove the chain from the loin and remove the vein steak from the end of the loin by cutting an inch or so from the end. Now trim the hard fat from the fat cap. Cut the loin into steaks about an inch thick. Square up the steaks and cut into strips. Lightly marinate the steak in red mole sauce overnight. Before cooking, season meat with salt and pepper. Season the grill grates with oil. Chef Kevin uses a mixture of canola and olive oil. Cook the steak for approximately 2 to 2.5 minutes per side, flip and repeat. Once cooked, remove those steaks and let them rest for 5 minutes in a combination of 50% melted butter and 50% red mole. Once rested, place a fresh tortilla on the plate and apply some fresh mashed avocado or guacamole. Thinly slice the steaks, place the cut steak on top of the avocado and drizzle with tasty mole butter. Now top with a simple salad of freshly grated radish, cilantro, and salt and pepper. And that's how you make a Holy Mole strip steak taco. And today's pro tip to turn up the tasty: season your hot grill grates with oil to prevent food sticking and to reveal the hot spots on the grill. Wasn't it fun hanging with Chef Kevin at Tacos, Tequila, and Whiskey today? I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Hey, where should we go next? Let me know in the comments below. Also, while you're there, if you like this video, you know the drill. Go ahead and hit that big thumbs up like button, or even better, subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss an adventure as we continue to meet America.